let's start. So, good evening, guys. So, veganism is often rooted in strong ethical conviction. How does this choice influence your music, lyrics, and stage presence? And how do you deal with the reception of that message in contexts where such activism is still on the fringes?
We are starting with a very deep question right now. So, of course, being as a vegan, I started this project with the idea of trying to spread some beliefs, but I never meant to start this project as a vegan project or a project where those beliefs are openly perceived by the audience. Of course, if you read between the lines of what I'm writing when I write a lyric, you can get that I have an anti-speciest belief. But I don't like to preach to people that they are wrong about what they're doing. I just want to try to involve the others in the things I am involved with. So that's the best I can do, to show everybody else my opinion and show and say why I am behaving in a certain way, and then you have the choice of believing that or not. This is what happened with me when I switched from being a non-vegan to a vegan person years ago, because nobody obliged me to do that. Nobody pointing their finger at me saying you're wrong, I'm right, you should stop eating meat, this kind of bullshit, because it doesn't help. Nobody likes to be judged. So to completely reply to your question, I like to speak with people which are not on my same page, because it's the only way I can spread my ideas. Because sometimes I feel like there is a sort of self empowerment about having everybody in the same room having the same opinions, and yeah, you're good, yeah, I'm good, you're good too, this kind of bullshit. So I like to speak in front of people which are different. So, but at the same time, I don't like to think about Golpe as a vegan project, because that's not my core, even if it's there. It's more a matter of intersectionalism about all the things I care about.
Amazing. Because freedom is important, right? So yes. I think I can speak for everyone that it's important that we need to accept a lot of things, and we are facing a situation where we got a lot of people, old people, that don't accept a lot of decisions that the new wave or young people think or feel, and it's important to have a dialogue, right? All right. So, in a time of growing normalization of the far right in Europe, do you feel that your anti-fascist stance is more urgent than ever? And how do you balance a direct and apologetic discourse with being accessible to broader audiences without watering down the message?
I think that the whole planet right now is facing the growth of neo-fascism right now, everywhere. Every country which was typically and basically socialist, like Sweden, Italy, yeah too, are facing this trouble everywhere. Is fucked up. Right now in Italy we are facing a very bad situation, which is new laws which is the new government is putting out, which are allowing less and less and less freedom of speech, freedom of demonstrating. It's fucked, and I think that every time you can speak about what you care about and what you don't like is a good way of making things less worse. So I try to take this chance every time I can, if it's to speaking with somebody, a stranger, or on a stage, if I'm singing a song that nobody's gonna get because I'm screaming, or at the workplace or a roommate, whatever. I try to speak about this matter, because it's the only thing you can do. There is nothing else you can do besides that, So I don't know if I replied to your question, but that's my opinion.
I think it's pretty good. Va bene. So choosing to sing in Italian within a globalized landscape, is this a statement of identity or a tool of resistance? And do you feel that despite the language barrier, your song carries a communicative power that goes beyond words?
What I have to compliment you for the question because it's very deep and interesting question to ask. I think that Italian is not just a way of expressing myself in my normal language, which is easier and more difficult at the same time, because English is way easier. If you want to hide words, if you want just to scream things, English is easier because it's a fast language you can easily use, and nobody is really gonna get what you're gonna say. Writing in Italian is way more difficult to me, and actually writing lyrics is the hardest part of making a song happen to me, because I really want to be sure of every word I'm singing, and I want to be 101% sure about the fact that what I'm writing is something that is coherent to the genre I'm playing, but at the same time not to be too cliche. So it's not just an exercise of style, let's say, but it's also a way of trying to express myself with short and very powerful words, just to express my ideas in a few words. It matters more than writing a lot of words in English and just making the song work, because it's like all the time, and the sound is okay, but if I read the lyric, it's not completely fulfilling me. So I started writing in Italian because it was the best way to make this happen, actually. And also the sound of Italian is I think that Italian is one of the best languages to play punk, with Finnish and Swedish and
Portuguese.
yeah. So
So your sound and political discourse both clash and converse with the usual audience of metal festivals. So what is the importance and the risk of bringing an anti-fascist and anti-speciesist message into a space where technical skill is often prioritized?
thank you for asking this question, because I was very not completely sure about to play this festival, honestly, because it's something outside our usual bubble, if you want to call it as a bubble. But at the same time, I felt the urge of trying to speak to people which is not openly something, and it's a chance to try to convince somebody, not convince because I want to convince anybody, but I want to try. As a kid, I started having some beliefs because some bands were talking about it, and if somebody never has this chance, it may happen that this never is gonna happen, you know. So I think it's not the best environment to play, in my opinion. I mean, I listen to metal, but I prefer to play punk shows because it's a safe zone that you're sure, 1% sure that everything is gonna be fine in playing there. Sometimes it's not 1% sure because there are more troubles going on. It can happen, but you can fix them. But at the same time, I think it's important to try to talk about the things you matter in front of people which is not on the same page, 100% on the same page, because if you do it only in front of people which are already thinking in the same way, you don't go anywhere. But at the same time, I wouldn't do this forever, honestly. It was an experiment, and we're gonna see how it's gonna go after tonight. So I cannot say more than this right now.
Trust me, I think you guys gonna rock.
And but it's not just a matter of rocking. It's mainly a matter of how the whole thing is gonna work. I'm very happy about the fact that we hanged an anti-fascist flag at the merch and a Palestinian flag at the merch, and almost everyone crossing the merch was looking at it and was smiling and doing this and thanking for the fact that we were openly about this, because most of the time in metal festivals nobody gives a shit. So I hope that this is gonna help a little bit to spread these kind of ideas in this scene which is not openly political, because it's not political at all, or they're afraid to be political. So like the organization itself of the festival, when I told them about the fact that we're gonna bring political stuff. They told me that we're anti-racist, anti-fascist, but they never spoke about it, you know?
Things are the sexual.
Yeah,
Afraid.
they are afraid to be political.
Because we saw that like that
Some people actually saw the flag and they were like, yes.
What are you afraid of? People are just scared about being openly political. There's nothing wrong being anti-fascist or anti-racist. It's the basic of human beings, how it should be, you know?
Freedom means to accept people. So
Yeah.
if you don't accept people, you're not exactly you're biting. Yeah, exactly.
I know. I agree.
How would you describe the current hardcore underground scene in Italy?
The hardcore scene is pretty good in Italy. We have many younger bands playing and starting to do things. Compared to other punk scenes, is a little worse, but I don't want to say worse or better. Simply, I like more bands from other countries because of my taste. But like the scene in Italy is pretty healthy. I mean, you can easily play nice shows, and I'm not complaining. But you know, sometimes it lacks of thought, thinking about globally about the taste in music and being more connected to other kind of bands around the world. It's mainly focused on Italian bands supporting each other, which is cool, but at the same time sometimes at least for the music, for the sound, sometimes it's lacking of something sometimes, but it's not always the same. Like the younger bands are the best. Like there is a new wave of punk bands around 14, 16 years old, which is fucking sick. Apoptosis and Narcan are the best from Milano, but it's not always the same, let's say. But they are building a very nice and young punk scene right now, so cheers to them. Yeah.
Ok, I think sei finito. So,
Nice.
grazie mille.
Grazie a te. Cheers.